The average salary for a construction estimator, I just looked it up, is somewhere around $82,000 a year. Sometimes it can be plenty more, especially if you want somebody with experience who knows construction costs and will always give you a detailed and accurate estimate. But what if we can make a tool within our business, or you can make a tool within your business that completely erases the need for this employee? Well, that's what we're working on within the Rehabber's Playbook. And that's also something I want you to follow along with to see if you could build it for yourself alongside us. I want you in on this ride. And last week, I put out a video. It was a part one video. It was kind of early for me to put it out. And I said that we were going to put out a part two. Now I'm thinking we're going to put out a part two, a part three, a part four. And every week, we're going to make a video where we are showing you the progress of this new GPT, of this AI tool that we're building to help us estimate costs. It's by far the hardest GPT I've ever built out, but it's turning out pretty awesome already. So if there's any time for you to subscribe to our channel, it is now, because every week we're going to bring you along on this ride so that you can see how we're building it and maybe you can build it for yourself. We're going to start playing around with this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put into this chat a prompt. And this is not my custom GPT. This is just the normal ChatGPT that you pull up normally when you open up the app. This prompt says, please make me a full gut renovation estimate for 2,000 square foot house, 4 beds, 2.5 bathrooms, all new siding. Existing siding will be removed. We talk about new roof, new MEPs. Existing hardwood will be refinished. All new back deck, tile flooring in the bathrooms. You get it. Cabinets, vanities, fixtures, etc. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I almost did. But we're going to see what normal ChatGPT would give us. And I've, of course, tested this because I have to be testing my GPT versus what is normal. And it helps me learn and build our GPT. But it's going to give you a project overview, which is, I think, really important, which is good. It's going to give a construction estimate breakdown. And I'm not lying to you. This is very different than what I'm used to seeing. Actually, normally it's much better than this. But I will say, ChatGPT, it just goes in different directions sometimes for some reason. And with that said, we're about to go into my GPT, and sometimes that gets messed up too. But honestly, it's very, very accurate, and it does what I want it to do. Let's say 90% of the time, but we're working out kinks too. But normally this comes in like a table format. Let's just, please give me this in table format. Normally it's actually much better than that. And I don't want to kind of take in the wrong direction. I want to like be as fair as possible, I guess, to the normal ChatGPT. But this is still very different and not as good as it normally is. But let's kind of go with it. I mean, you only have 9 line items here. You're combining a lot of different things into different line items. They're not even talking, I guess interior finishes talk about drywall, paint, refinish, hardwood. I mean, these are huge cost ranges. And those bottom totals are not only a big range, but very off. A full gut renovation at 2,000 square feet should be, in our area at least, 160,000, at the most 200,000. You can maybe get it 150, 140. And I know people will say, oh, we can get it done much less than that. If you're in expensive markets, you're going to think, oh, it's much more than that. I know my costs. Normally, if I was doing 2,000 square feet, it'd probably be about 150, 160,000, full gut renovation, all new everything. It's got to be a nice renovation, of course, not all builder grade stuff. But besides that, this is not helpful. And I promise you, normally it is even better than this. It'll give us notes at the bottom and assumptions. Yeah, this is not helpful at all. And they're combining too much stuff. Siding and roofing is 33 to 44. How much of that is siding? How much of that is roofing? How do I know if my roofer is giving me a good price? I don't know. This is just not helpful. All right, let's, like I said, I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt and try to help it out as much as possible, but this is just not good. let's go to my GPT and let's see with the same exact prompt what would come up. And I'm going to show you a few of these things, and then we're going to talk about all the pieces that I've put together to help this GPT. So before it goes forward, it's going to say, hey, look, I need more information from you. Now, it always is going to give you the option down here to skip and use defaults, because sometimes you don't know exactly how many windows you need. You don't know what type of siding you're using. You don't know what type of windows. You might not know all this stuff. It could be like a really rough preliminary estimate that you're working with here to maybe put a bid on a property. And then later on down the road, once you're under contract, you can start working on all the other stuff. So again, to try to make this comparison as fair as possible, to show that I'm not like fluffing it up or making it something that it's not, let's just say skip. We said skip for all the clarifying questions. And now it's going through soft costs item by item. It's going through hard costs item by item. It's not giving us a cost range. It's actually using our average costs that we've uploaded into this GPT. So this GPT knows all of my company's costs, all of the averages. It even knows the high end and the low end, just so if I ever say this is going to be a builder grade house or this is going to be a luxury home, it will be able to make that difference and make that adjustment for me. But it's going on with all the averages, and it's going through every line item, which is so important. We don't combine anything like you saw in the last one, because how you got to know what your roofing contractor is going to bid it for you, like what bid you're going to be looking for, or your siding guy, or your insulation guy. You need to know kind of an idea of what you should be expecting on those costs, and it's going to help you with bookkeeping and job costing. Incredibly important. Bookkeeping is not going to have line items or construction categories that combine a bunch of different items. You're going to have one for siding, one for roofing, one for framing, etc. So we make it very, very clear in the instructions that you have to use our construction categories, and you can't deviate from this at all. We make that very clear in the instructions, and we're going to show you that in a second. But as you go through here, you'll see even that we have a contingency at the bottom. A 10% of the hard cost is going to be our buffer. And we have a total of almost $160,000, which is really nice. Trust me, I was crossing my fingers. Sometimes it doesn't always work out perfectly, but 160,000 is just like what I was kind of telling you in the beginning. I think that's very, very fair for 2,000 square feet, fully gutted and all new everything. Right. And of course, there's going to be framing changes, all new MEPs, all new drywall, etc. Now, when you go down, you'll see we even give it instructions to give us all the assumptions that it used for this project. So it assumed 20 windows. Now I can go in and say, actually, it was 22 windows. It included 3 vanities, standard 42-inch high kitchen wall cabinets, right? 500 square feet of tile is what it estimated with. That 10% buffer, and it used the pricing based on our master estimating guide that, again, I was just mentioning that we uploaded into this GPT. Now it even has more clarifying questions. So it's going to be saying, hey, this is a rough budget. Let's move you closer to a preliminary budget by making sure we get all the detail right. So it's talking about what kind of siding are we going to use? Are we, do you have any oversized windows, right? Will you need to do any framing repairs or subfloor repairs, right? It's going to ask some more clarifying questions. And of course, we kind of skipped all the original clarifying questions, but you have to go answer those too. And you have to make sure all these assumptions are correct. And you can even go through here and say, 20 windows. Again, I actually have 22, right? And it's assuming vinyl double hung windows plus labor. This is everything that we are building out with this GPT. And I think it's so cool. We did all of that in the click of a button with just a very simple prompt that's going to take you maybe 60 seconds to put together. And if you even use other tools that we're going to incorporate, like Dictate, being able to talk through it, right? Maybe you walk through the house and you talk through it and you get all the notes, then you upload it into this chat box. You can get very detailed off the top. And even this is giving you a lot of good assumptions with the 2,000 square foot house that you can work with. So this is a great starting point, and it happened like that. It was so quick. Let me show you some of the tools that we're putting together for this. Number one, and by the way, we have hundreds of pages now uploaded into this GPT. So it is incredibly detailed, and I don't want to scare you with it. I can help you with this. You just let me know if this is something you're interested in. Reach out to me. I'll put a link in this description so that you guys can always reach out to me or comment here, right? We're on this journey together, and I'm not holding anything back. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing here. But I use Notion because, like I said, we have hundreds of pages in this GPT, but you can only upload a certain amount of documents into the GPT. So instead of putting the GPT purpose and foundations into one document and then uploading it into the GPT, Notion allows you to have these toggle headers that will open up all of the instructions for each of these, which makes it really easy for me to go through and edit detail, add detail. And every single time I'm talking and working with this GPT, I'm saying, please give me the instructions that I just mentioned to you so I can copy and paste into my own document, because it's going to be naturally updating all the instructions into the GPT. But I want to be double with it. I want to make sure it memorizes and it knows our goals here. So I am always double documenting everything, and I'm always making sure it's on the same page. Your job is to go through and get all of these instructions, and you can kind of skim through it with me. I'm not holding anything back. I'm not going to go through all of this with you, but you can kind of make it for yourself. I kind of just opened up everything for you for the most part. And, just this will just be a little plug for TRP, but within my group, I am giving everybody all of these instructions so they can do it themselves. But again, I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm probably running out of time for your attention here. Maybe I make this a long video. I don't know, because I got more stuff to show you. But everything is spelled out here. This is a whole section on the clarifying questions, the clarifying question workflow, how you have to ask those questions before we do the rough estimate. And that first estimate is always considered a rough estimate until we get 75% of the questions done. Then it's a preliminary estimate. Until we get 90% of the questions answered, or 95%, then it's called a final estimate, right? We get very specific. And you also have to learn that you can't overcomplicate things at the same time. So there's this balance that you have to make between giving it a lot of instruction, but not giving it a lot of fluff too, right? So this is all just, a lot of work that I put in to get it together, and I'm going to help you guys do it. Just ask me questions. Let me know. I can't go through all of this, but you guys can see I can at least go through the headers. We have our purpose and foundations here. It goes through all of the core project types, the scope, variety, logic. So it's not just, here's another example. It's not just for a full gut renovation. I'm going to go back here. Let's make one 2,000 square foot new construction project now. Fingers crossed, right? Like I said, who knows what's going to happen. But first, I have to ask you questions. And I always say, don't ask me too many questions, or don't ask the user too many questions in the beginning, because that might just overcomplicate the process. The purpose of this is speed, and I'm not going to ask you 20 questions before I get an estimate, right? So I can skip and use the defaults, which I'm going to do just for your own, so that you don't have to worry about it, right? And now we have a rough estimate for a new construction project. And we're going through the soft costs, the hard costs, and it's including everything. This is what's really important, is you break budgets because you miss line items. This is making sure you're never missing line items, which is really important. Now, I'll tell you something that's kind of already messing up. I'll just be honest with you. I always want it in a very specific chronological order. So I'm going to go back to the configure section, or to the create section of this GPT, and say, what gives? You're supposed to be doing this in the same order of our construction categories. This is in your instructions. Please make sure that you don't forget this. And I'm going to go through a handful of different tricks I have to make sure that it never forgets, by re-uploading it, by making sure it recites it back to me, by double checking the instructions, etc. But let's see, 227,000 for a 2,000 square foot home. I would say that's a little low if I was going to be honest with you. I'm probably more thinking it's going to be 250,000. And maybe there's something in here I can find out. But a lot of this stuff looks really good. You see hardy siding is an assumption. And I'm sure down here it will say siding assumption, hardy lap siding with full trim wrap. Yep. Roofing, 18 squares. That's probably small for 2,000 square feet. So maybe that's part of it, right? We have our 10% contingency. We have all pricing based on what we've uploaded, etc. Clarifying questions at the bottom. And this is maybe where we can even get it closer to a more accurate estimate. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that every time you type in a quick prompt, answer a couple questions, it's going to be exactly right. You might have to go back and forth 2 to 3 times. But by that third time, I've always got it to a really good estimate. Again, we're working out the kinks. This is week 2. So I'm doing this for a long time to get this right. Let me show you one other thing that we have for this. These are all my documents for this GPT. Some of them are more complicated than others. We have the master instruction sheet, but let's go to the master estimating guide. This is how crazy I might be. You might look at me like I'm crazy, but these are all the detail for all the different line items. And like I said, I gave it all of my standard line items. So if you go in here, you can see all of the information we give it for framing costs. You have our average costs, our labor, material. So it breaks it down. And if I wanted to, I could go in here and even say, let me get out of this. Please break this down into a detailed estimate. Fingers crossed, right? I don't want to look bad in front of y'all. So now it's going through quantity, rate, line item. It should be splitting it up even more, just to be honest with you. So there's some things I still need to work on, but it's still giving us now a quantity, rate, and cost, which is really important because everybody here knows I love Rehab Valuator. This is not replacing Rehab Valuator in my business. This is complementing it. So now I can take all this information and take it directly into Rehab Valuator because this is how it actually shows up in Rehab Valuator. So we have 2 different ways to make a budget here. We have a detailed one and we have a summary one, which kind of just gives us a category, scope, description, and cost. So that's another instruction that we've put into this GPT. So look, I hope this is helpful. I'm showing you a handful of different things without going too boringly into the details, right? Into all of those documents that we have and into all the specific instructions. I'm just giving you all the overarching instructions of how we've built this so far. But I really think this at least can get you a good idea of how you can build it yourself. And just remember to have conversations with the GPT and say, hey, look, I want you to be able to give me 2 different types of estimates, a summary and a detailed. Tell it exactly what that means and let it go to work. Tell them to give you the instructions to instruct the GPT, start making your own document, and you're good from there. And again, this is right here when it comes to this master estimating guide. This is 70 pages, I think, in itself, but it's going to be uploaded as one document because I'm using Notion, the app Notion, to be able to use the toggle headers so I can get all the information in here. It's not too bulky of a document, but now, and I even mentioned this on my last video, but now if I need to go in and change something with Windows because it's not giving me a good price, I can literally just go to Windows and do this, export it as a new document, and then re-upload it, right? And then say, hey, hey, GPT, please recognize that we just uploaded a new document with new window costs, right? So again, I know these are going to be longer videos than normal, but I don't care anymore. I used to make videos that, they tell me you have to have a hook and you have to have talking points. You have to get out in 15 minutes. When I do these GPT talks, they're completely different. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope that it helps you. And if you are interested in following along, in August, we're going to do a very detailed rundown with my group to show them how they can build it, and they're going to have access to my GPT. So if they don't want to go through the whole routine of building out their own GPT, they can just have access to mine. But I'm going to be giving them these documents so that they can build it within their company as well. So if you want to join the Rehabbers Playbook, that link is in the description below too. You can book a call with me. We can talk about it, see if it's a good fit, and you can also leverage this tool in your business as well. All right. I hope that helped. I know I'm all over the place. Maybe it's because I'm excited. Let me go because I'm going to keep working on this. Right now it's the 4th of July, but I am working on this GPT and you can't get me off of it. All right. Till the next time, I'll see you on the next video. Keep building.